This episode is sponsored by Airbnb. If spring fever's got you feeling a little antsy, might I suggest booking an Airbnb for a change of scenery? Now, let's start the show.
It was like 2 Marge Simpsons and you were Lisa Simpson. Like we were all just together.
And I remember you took your face off quick. You were like, I'm done.
And the lights went out in the workroom and RuPaul and I were in there alone.
Oof.
And we had to sit, me, RuPaul, in the dark.
After the movie, I really was going through it, like in my house, living my life, crying and saying, oh my gosh, like my freedom is the freedom they didn't have.
But I've been with enough straight guys to know sometimes, you know, the white
now
walls.
Now that's T-Boo, okay? Clock
like
it.
I want to see the sheet on the bed. I want to see, you know, I don't want that cracked in vibe. I want...
Literally. I am really excited to talk to Trixie. I worked with her on the Google Pixel launch.
Oh, okay.
You remember she was there with Monet Exchange.
Oh, okay.
Both drag queens were on RuPaul's Drag Race. All my words are mixing back and forth. But I met them there. Fabulous, fabulous girls. And so I'm excited to talk to Trixie because I didn't realize this story. You know, Key, who did my hair, he's also from, you know, him and Lenora, both from Milwaukee. So is Trixie.
Oh, okay.
And she's got a drag bar down there that Key did one of his first drag shows at.
Oh, very nice.
So she has a very inspiring story for obviously inspiring drag queens, but just in general.
Yeah. And
hearing about, I didn't know anything about her stepfather calling her this name and how she's taken that power back. I think that's really inspiring.
Yeah, that is not only inspiring, but it's ingenious. It was very smart. I like the name, Trixie. It's very eye-catching.
Yes. Now, for you growing up, were there things about you that you felt like your family didn't get or that people didn't understand about you where you found your community that obviously did accept you, embrace you, and allowed you to be kind of your full self?
Well, of course, I was a theater kid. I was a debate kid. And, my family was very simple, blue-collar, Chicago. Like I said, get a job at the post office, which is an honorable job. Get a job working downtown in Mayor Daley's office. He was the big mayor when I was a kid. Working downtown. It was always work downtown in an office. That was like the picture perfect scenario. So for me So for me to say I wanted to be an actor or I wanted to be a choreographer or anything.
Oh my gosh, when you told me that you went a whole season in your life saying, I'm going to be a choreographer.
I want to be a choreographer. Yeah. Well, let me tell you how that happened.
Sharon, that gives me life.
But let me tell you how that happened. I didn't even know what the hell a choreographer was. I was sitting in my mother's beauty salon, and like I said, she had her own business, and my mother used to have a Jet magazine subscription. And so I would anticipate, and a lot of times I would go to the beauty salon and she would save them for me. So like it would be like a stack of Jet magazines. And so I would look at these magazines and like it's a predominantly, well, it was an all black magazine.
Predominantly black.
It wasn't predominantly black, it was black. There were no white people in this magazine. Anyway.
That's funny, Mom.
We would look at the cover of the magazine and it would just have some of the most beautiful, exciting black people. Like Bill Cosby was on the cover, and well, I mean, we are talking back in the 70s, guys. But he was a big entertainer then, guys. And then you had Diana Ross. Okay, you had all these people, and one of the covers was Debbie Allen.
Come on, Debbie.
And it was Debbie Allen, and it was her and all the stuff she had done. And she was choreographing something for the Oscars. And I was like, this black woman what is she? A choreographer? And I remember telling my mother, I'm going to be a choreographer. What the hell is that?
I love
choreographer.
That.
And people are like, well, what exactly is that? I'm like, I don't know. Debbie Allen is a choreographer. I want to do what Debbie Allen is doing. And then when I got old enough to really look at a dictionary and see what it was, I was like, well, I can dance, but...
Do I really want to create
I don't know if I can do dancing the way she's doing it, you know? So, but I did that, you know.
I love the stories of one finding themselves. Particularly, Sharon, I love the stories of you finding, like, because I know you found. You know what I mean? Like by the time I met you and had realizations of you had already committed to who Sharon Palmer is.
Right.
So when I'm hearing about you becoming Sharon Palmer is too good.
Well, talking about, you know, the drag queens in that world, when I was about 18, I did a play. And it was in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, at a college called Kennedy King. It's not even around anymore. And the hairstylist on that show, he was a drag queen. And he would come in and he would do our makeup and stuff, and then he would dress himself. So I would sit there and I would watch him do his own makeup, and I would watch him do his own hair and just everything. And I was so fascinated. And I was like, so now where are you going when you leave here? And he's like, I'm going to do my show. And I just thought that was so just unbelievably cool.
Yes.
And he would do his job, and then he would go and do his own makeup, and then when he left, he was gorgeous. He would walk out, and he would have his gowns, and I just thought that was really cool. I never thought it was anything that I needed to scoff at. I thought it was just really a really cool thing that this man was so dedicated to his show.
Yeah. I feel like growing up for me, the things that I felt people didn't understand about me, or just like I felt, I would say criticized, was my deep concern for, it's funny because I'm obviously entertaining, but my deep concern about how I showed up.
Yeah.
You remember, y'all would always make fun of me going to the mailbox with my hair done and an outfit on. You know, and the dad would always tease and say, you're so vain. You know what I mean? But vanity's a great motivator. I've always been really into how I'm showing up, how I look, how, being presentable. You know what I mean? Or whatever like that. I feel like sometimes I would get teased by that.
It's really how you judge, though. I mean, how you smell. I mean, I remember... I'm just saying that because I remember Chet Brown, who was my speech coach in high school. He would have a whole talk about hygiene. And he would say, you're coming to debate. It's not only about what you're wearing. It's about how you smell.
Yeah.
When you walk into the room and someone smells you, they create a whole package of who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And good or bad, but that's how we're judged.
When it came to things that when you were younger that you felt were criticized, or just in your humanity that made it difficult for you to communicate, how did you evolve and be able to learn how to really communicate with people despite how they may have misunderstood you or your character?
There were many moments in my younger life where I would just get quiet sometimes, where I wouldn't do a lot of talking. I just wouldn't express myself at all. I just would be quiet. I would listen, and then I would slowly come out of that, funk or whatever you want to call it. And I don't know. I've just always just been a praying person. I've always prayed. I've always believed in praying and meditating, and that the answers will come.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes you just can't force things.
You get internal, and you kind of just go insular to find that peace within yourself where there might be confusion on the outside. It's so funny because I do that too, but also I go outside.
That's right.
And get boisterous and dramatic and kooky.
And what your guest Trixie did was...
the same type of vibe, become entertaining.
Yeah.
Entertainment and transport your world. And I mean, I think that's what, hey, we're entertainers. That's what an entertainer does. Wants to explore, wants to get out there, wants to transform, wants to transmute, wants to alchemize.
But I'm also a Virgo, so part of it was, you didn't deserve my voice. So was a little arrogance too. It was, okay, so you're going to make fun of me. You're going to make fun of me. You're going to attack me. You're going to criticize me. Well, then I'm not going to give you me.
That one is so difficult.
Right.
You know why? Because you can end up poisoning yourself.
Yeah, I've done
with that. You know what I mean? Because I've
done
been,
it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that can end up, you before you know it, and Dad used to tell me that a lot too when I was a kid. He was like, you hold grudges. And I'm like, no, I don't. You know what I mean? And he was like, you do. And it's not good for you.
That's right.
It's not good for you to hold a grudge because that does make sense, to just shut down and I'm done. I'm no longer going to be. But before I
got you asking to hear. I got you asking to hear from me when before I couldn't say anything without you criticizing me. Yeah. So now every word I say, you have a problem with. Okay, so now you have a problem that I'm not talking. Okay, all right, well, now I see the problem isn't me, it's your ass. What's wrong with you? Yeah. Because I'm talking and you want to criticize, and now I'm not talking, and you still want to find out why I'm not talking and why you criticizing me not talking. Yeah. So now that's blaming, okay.
And that's why you got to keep talking.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
And that's why you also got to realize that everybody brings their own shit to the
Because
table.
why not just be
That's right.
yourself? You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
If people gonna hate me, love me either which
That's
way,
right.
why not just be who I want to be?
That's right.
You know what I mean?
No, that's right. That's absolutely right. But it took years.
And I love that because that actually brings us back to why Trixie probably calls herself Trixie. I'm gonna be You think I'm Trixie regardless, whatever that means
right.
to you. This is what it means to me.
Well, I'm sure it probably was told her, oh, "You're a trick. You're a Trixie." It probably was negative, and she was like, "Yeah, I am Trixie."
Yeah.
Baby.
Wait a minute now. I need her to do No, Sharon, where did you transport to? That gave me life. I am Trixie. Wait a minute, Sharon. That's a line in the movie of Trixie's life. That's the scene. She's going through the hardship, all this drama with her dad. She's sitting at the thing, and she's like, Trixie. That's right. I am Trixie. Like, that was it. I love that. We've done it. We wrote the movie. We're going to get cast.
Well, what she did was she took the power from them. Yeah. So now the name that you think you're hurting me with, you're calling me a trick or Trixie, whatever, you calling me that name. Okay, well, I'm going to claim that name. I'm going to take it from you, and I'm going to put power on it. Now what? Now what are you going to call me?
I love that. I can't wait to talk to her about this. Now, y'all know over here at Baby This is Keke Palmer, we like to keep things very classy, very demure. And thanks to Airbnb, you can have your very own spring break without any of the co-ed chaos. That's right. As a Virgo, I can be very particular about my vacations, and crowded beaches and busy hotels simply do not fit into my fantasy. In the past, when I needed a break, I went straight for some peace and quiet. Whether it was a trailer in Joshua Tree or a lakeside cabin up in Big Bear, Airbnb was always the first place I check when I'm trying to escape the drama. In the middle of nowhere, without all the hubbub, I was able to sit back, relax, and actually take a load off. So, if you're avoiding South Beach this spring, you should check into one of Airbnb's guest favorites. These are the most loved homes on Airbnb, and they got the ratings to prove it. Okay, you can find spots so luxe and off the beaten path, you'll forget spring break even exists. So, ditch the drama, embrace the peace, and book the guest's favorite home you've been eyeing on Airbnb. Trust me, your grown and sexy self deserves it. Baby, this is Keke. All right, y'all. Let me tell you about my guest today. You might know her from RuPaul's Drag Race, where she snatched that crown on All Stars. Or maybe you've seen her hilarious and totally off-the-wall YouTube show with Katya that just keeps us all rolling. And let's not forget her Netflix glow-up moment with Trixie Motel. That really gagged me, turning Palm Springs into a real estate in a pastel dream. Trixie Mattel, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the show. It's good to see you, boo.
Woo! You look beautiful. My computer screen has never looked more gorgeous. Oh
I
my
know
God.
that's right, okay?
And look at your signage.
Thank you. I tried to really each year, Baby This is Keke Palmer continues to grow and evolve. I'm just trying to get on your level.
Girl, look at my level. It's a whiteboard that says, Baby, this is Keke Palmer. So I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in New York, the East Coast. I've been here for a lot of, the beginning of 2025, which I love because I'm just like, I'm from Illinois, a Midwest girl, and East Coast stole my heart, even though I grew up in Cali, so it's just, I'm living the dream.
Where in Illinois are you from?
I'm from a south suburb, very rural area called Robbins. It's like literally it's from here to there.
Wow. I'm from Wisconsin. I'm your northern neighbor.
I know. And you also have a bar there that one of my friends who recently started getting into drag performed at.
Oh, yes. We have one of the best places to perform for. Listen, when you're a drag queen and you own a gay bar, you have you have a responsibility to have a nice dressing room for once.
You do. And I feel like you gave nothing less. Like, he was so happy to go, was living every moment of it. And so shout out to Poussey Poussey.
Poussey, hello. Now, I know you've had an illustrious career. I imagine you have found yourself in some very destitute dressing rooms as well at some point.
Oh, all the time, especially when I'm doing tour dates. I feel like that's when it's the most difficult, you know what I mean? Like, I just imagine my life one day being able to just have a residency place where I just sit and I could do everything in my own curated space. Very type A of me. But, hey, you got to do what you got to do. Make sure your makeup artist brings the lighting and go from there.
Yeah, it's sometimes I'll like when I was touring some of the dates where it's like, oh, this is a, a rock venue. And when they say rock venue, I start to picture the dressing room. I'm like, so it's going to be 3 leather couches,
Literally.
1 flickering light bulb. Like, and I'm going to be, trying to put makeup on in the dark.
I
Like,
have to just
okay.
tell you the way that you do and beat your face. Like, I just feel like I hate that. Every time I get my makeup done, I'm thinking to myself, damn, this is the real me that I deserve to be every day. The fact that you can beat your face within the inch of your life, how long did it take you to get so good? Was it just every single day that you was doing it? Did you actually study? Is this just a gift that I can't obtain?
No, I'm pretty sure you can. I'm pretty sure people who love you know that you can probably do anything. However, I mean, I was, my early, like 19, 18, starting drag. And, I was just buying drugstore makeup from the CVS down the street from my house and just like going home and putting on movies and trying to draw things on my face and long processes of experimentation. And then I got jobs at makeup counters. So I worked at an Ulta for a while. And then I was at a MAC counter for like 5 years.
Come on, Mac.
Yes, this was like, the 2012s, and this is when Mac was it's
Really
always
killing
big,
it.
but this is a Mac was really like, we are Mac.
Yes.
And that was fun, but that was like it was like baptism by fire because you gotta imagine I'm like 21, I get my little mall makeup job. You have only had, when you're 21 or 22, no matter how experienced you are, you've only been doing it really a few years. So you really just have a poker face at all times.
Literally.
But it was like, doing all ages, all genders, all ethnicities. It really makes you learn on the fly and learn everything. Every time you do someone's makeup, you kind of learn something random from them too.
Yes. But, I always tell people, they're like, if you were to do any other job, I always say hairstylist. But I feel like makeup artists, in glam in general, when somebody's in your face or in their hair, you're going to get all the business. Like, it becomes
really are.
a therapy session. So the fact that you're like doing all these people makeup and all the conversations that you're going to have is just going to take you places.
It's intimate. I mean, I'm sure that there's probably so many wonderful glam people who've gotten to do you, but I'm sure you have a small, like usual suspects who do your hair and makeup. And
Yes.
you start to tell them things that you don't tell your best friends.
Because you're sitting there forever. Like, I don't know about how long it takes you, but when I get my makeup done, like glam, it takes like 3 hours. How long does it take you generally? I know, isn't that crazy? Like 3 hours. Yes,
Girl, what are you doing in there for 3 hours?
Kenya. Shout out to Kenya because she's literally over there painting me like a Picasso. It's too much.
Right. Well, can I say this about Kenya? I have worked with you in real life. We did a commercial thing
Google
together.
Pixel, yeah.
And let me tell you, Miss Kenya delivered. You looked like a goddess.
She don't fucking play.
You looked amazing. It was me, you, and Monet Exchange.
Yep, Monet.
And you came in, at our hip level about?
Yeah, because y'all was like, it was
like
giving
your mom and
diva
dad.
down.
Girl, it was like 2 Marge Simpsons and you were Lisa Simpson. Like, we were all just together.
And I remember you took your face off quick. You were like, I'm done, bitch. You took yourself off quick. You were like, I'm done, bitch. Holla at your girl.
Well, I love to be in the glam, but at a certain point, at the end of the day, you're like, I'm about to claw this off my face.
No, seriously, seriously. And you just took a hiatus, I know, from the YouTube show, from drag in general. What kind of brought that on for you? Was it what we're talking about now? Kind of just like, the whole get up.
Keke, can I ask you, have you ever gotten to take like an elongated break, something like 3 months? Have you ever gotten to take like a nice long break?
No, and I say that sadly because I feel like I should and I need to.
Can I tell you, I did it from a place of like, need it. I mean, I had all-time stress was at an all-time high, and I had a separation that I wasn't really able to or wanted to publicly talk about yet.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten diagnosed with arthritis and, I'm 35 and to get arthritis young I just was having problems moving. It was so hard. And I just was hitting, your body starts to really tell you, Miss Thing, I know you like to work. I know you like to do drag, but you need to stop. And so I took the long break and Keke, I did no socials, no Twitter, no nothing for 3 months.
Good
and
for
getting
you.
off social media it was like leaving the Matrix. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, it was wonderful.
I think we kind of forgot about the real world sometimes. And what I mean by that, I'm not trying to say that there's not real stuff happening on social media. We do live, make money. There's stuff happening. I'm not trying to diminish it. But when you're always like this, it becomes difficult sometimes to like look around like this and to realize that there is such another aspect to the world, that the world's not just in our phones. So I totally can imagine how that must have felt to just not feel the pressure of that. But then also, like you said, life is happening. And you mentioned something about the arthritis where it's like I had, what do you call it? Frozen shoulder? You know what I mean?
You did?
I had my shoulder was like literally, I could not freaking move it. And I had a breakdown with my best friend where, I was like, she was trying to help me get a masseuse to help me with my shoulder and all this type of stuff like that. I'm always working. And I just started to cry because I'm like, we're not athletes, right? But like you're in heels 24/7. We're running, like we're depending on our bodies in the same way that anybody, we all are working and trying to get and moving around. And you don't realize that your body is tired because the mind, it can be so strong. So for my shoulder, I'm trying to be a mom, pick up my son. I'm working. I'm doing an action flick at the time. And I just cried in her arms because I'm like, I got to take care of myself because if not, my body is going to break down on me. And it just devastated me to think about it being taken from me when all I have to do is just take a beat for myself. Like it's either your choice or your body signs out for you type of thing.
That is the truth. I mean, I was having my joints, my knees were starting first, then my elbows, then my jaw. Keke, I was waking up with my jaw stuck shut.
Honey.
And I was going to doctors and getting x-rays because, this is America, and I think we all immediately think there's something wrong with our body, not our mind.
Mm-hmm.
But like in holistic medicine, everything is linked, not to be too woo-woo. It's very possible that if something's going on with your body, it's probably your heart and your brain too.
That's right.
It is all one system.
Yeah, I think it's
And your body
tension.
just starts to be like, if you don't stop, we're going to stop you, Miss Thing. And so
I think it's also important what you're saying too, and it's something that I struggle with as well because I know you love drag. I love entertainment. We love what we do. But this reality of this distinction between me loving what I do, it being a true joy for me, and the point in which it goes from being joyful to actually hindering me and knowing when to draw the line. Like I've been also with myself learning how to kind of have that balance because it's like, how can I stop doing the one thing that has been my peace? You know what I'm saying? Like there is a time where it's like, oh my gosh, I need a character to dive into, or I need to write this song, or I need to have this conversation in order to escape in a certain way. And then it's like the one thing that I'm escaping to is actually the thing that I need to like take a break from. Did you find other things that you were interested in and that you love just as much as drag?
Oh my God, I became like Amish. I was like a Mennonite. I would wake up, and when your phone is just to make calls, you don't really spend any time on it. Like I would just sit connected to the wall like an analog landline all day. And I would bike every day. I went to the gym every day.
Oh my gosh,
Biking. I would listen to podcasts and listen to audiobooks. I was reading. I was doing watercolor. I cooked.
Oh my gosh,
like
the painting, the coloring thing has become a thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, my therapist was like, some people with arthritis find that it's helpful to color. And I was like, don't patronize me. He was like, you should go buy some crayons. I was like, I'm a homosexual and I'm an artist. I'm going to do watercolor. And watercolor will humble you real quick. Like I would say I'm a okay makeup artist. I'm not a skilled watercolor artist. But I was cooking every meal from scratch, just taking every opportunity to do the present, hands-on, analog version of it. And let me tell you, Keke, I really accidentally realized for me probably the first time how amazing and how grateful I am for Trixie and drag. When you're doing it all the time, you can't see the forest through the trees, whatever that saying is.
Yeah, that's what they say.
And then suddenly you're like, wow, I miss it. I love it. I appreciate it. And when you do it all the time, you don't have an opportunity to miss it and love it. And I came back so horny for it. I love doing drag.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. And you're inspiring me because, and then that's the thing. You sign on to so many things. You have so much stuff that you have to complete and follow through on, and figuring out how to take that moment to just say, hey, this is what I'm going to do for me. It feels so big, but I know that it's so rewarding. So I need to have my 3-month break.
Baby, this is Keke Palmer, yeah.
When I first met you, I kind of blurted out that I don't know if people always talk to you about this, but I was had to talk to you about Scream.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the MTV show.
And I was like, you're one of those people where sometimes you've been in entertainment so long, I'm like, but you look so young. I'm like, is she a time-traveling 18-year-old? And obviously you were playing a teenager in that show, and I was like, were you a teenager? How old were you
I
doing that?
definitely was not a teenager. I was playing 16, and I think I was like 22, 23 at the time.
Secrets.
But it's so funny. I love that I can get new lives in acting. Like, I don't know. Obviously, my playing teenage days is over. It was probably done like at that 22, 23. But even still now, I live for the fact that, hey, let's get into a new world. You know what I mean? Like, so I appreciate that. I receive that love.
If you're trying to like stress less, I don't know if you should do more like Scream type programs though.
Well, what's so funny? I do feel like that's why I've leaned more into comedy. Like, I mean, obviously, the material that's there is the material that's there. But when I was transitioning and like going into social media content creation and influencing, I really did lean into comedy because I felt like a lot of the drama stuff that I had been doing earlier on or focusing on in acting was draining. Like, people don't know, like, my emotions don't know I'm kidding. So when I'm doing, a movie like Pimp where my, mama is on drugs and I'm trying to make sure these hoes in line, that shit is stressing me the hell out. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I feel like for me, there's two things you think about artistically, where you're coming from and then what's going on in the world. And I was like, we need to laugh. I need to laugh. We need to laugh. Like, and that I think has been very much so like a big part of my inspiration and drive to do more fun stuff because I want to be at ease.
Yeah. I always hear stories of people who were like, I really wanted to do, I think I remember hearing like a Rebel Wilson interview where she was like, I really always wanted to do drama, but every time I would get up there, people would laugh. And so I think it's always funny when some people want to do drama and then they're just accidentally fucking funny. And so I think even if you didn't want to do comedy, I do think you probably would get sucked in because you are fucking funny.
I love that. And I feel like it was a matter of time because people would tell me that. Like when I would work on like dramatic, like I did a movie, Akilah and the Bee. It's a very serious
Of
part.
course.
People on the set would be like, you're funny, or you know what I mean? I remember I was doing the NAACP Awards with Tyler James Williams. We were kids, and the teleprompter went out while we're up there doing the line, hey, you're watching those awards. And I just start, filling the space because I'm one of those people, I mean, you even seen it at the Met Gala. When it's silence, I'm going to fucking try to fill it with something, whether it's like, hey, y'all, yeah. Like, it makes me nervous, and that's what comes out.
I love those weird moments. Like sometimes in entertainment, you have this moment where there's a tech problem and you and someone you admire or someone you're stuck together. One time I was on Drag Race for something. I wasn't competing, but I was on it for something. And the lights went out in the workroom and RuPaul and I were in there alone.
Oof.
And we had to sit, me, RuPaul, in the dark in the workroom while they fixed like the air conditioned lighting. And to have like a private moment in the dark with RuPaul with no cameras and no microphones, I was like, I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. I think we talked about like traffic and weather, but still it was, of course it's RuPaul. And so I'm like, he's asking me questions about my work and talking about drag. And moments like that, you're so like frozen where something like that happens. And in the moment you're like, this is going to be burned into my memory forever.
And I feel like you and Ru remind me of each other in the same sense where obviously you see all this glitz, all this glamour, but there's also such a serious focus and like, I have a vision for my life, get into it vibe that I really also live for. Like there's just this thing where I feel like I haven't known Ru for a long time or had a lot of big conversations, but I could just tell Ru always been Ru and knew who he was and what he wanted to be. Did you feel like it was the same for you? Because I feel like your vision to me seems so clear. Everything you've carried out has been so pointed.
I mean, I think delusion helps, right? And drag queens have like no shortage of delusion. But I think like one of my maybe in some scenarios worst traits. But sometimes it's a good trait. You can't really tell me anything. And so sometimes I should be listening to people. But sometimes that part of your brain that's supposed to develop that says maybe you shouldn't do that or like I don't have that. So I just like if I think it's a good idea, I get so like horny for it and whipped up and start figuring like I rarely say I'm gonna do something and then like don't do it.
No, that is like no.
And I go so crazy. Like when I started DJing during COVID, I always wanted to learn. And then COVID happened. I was like, well, you're stuck in your house. You have no reason not to learn. It was like, I just was like, went out, bought all the equipment I could buy, set it all up in my living room like a little club and just played for hours and hours and every day because if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. Maybe that's the part of Ru that I really admire.
Mm-hmm.
Keke, I'm obsessed with RuPaul.
Me
I
too,
mean,
babes.
she is everything. And like the older I get in drag, I'm 35. RuPaul's, a lot older
60s.
than me.
Mhm.
60s? You said it, not me. And
I mean, she's 30.
she's 30. And the longer I've been in this industry, I just can't believe how impressive it
It
is that
is.
she's had a career this long. And not to mention, for a black man to put on a blonde wig
You know what I'm
in
saying?
the 90s
It's huge.
and strut around legs up to the pussy and be
That's right.
like, and what?
That's
Like,
right.
and the tenacity of having this major career and a resurgence and a resurgence. She's kind of
The
I
pinnacle.
watched that Martha Stewart documentary and they were talking about Martha Stewart being the mother of like rebirth. And RuPaul's just like this. Who knew at this stage in her life she would kind of be like constantly in the reinvention and like how many Emmys does she have?
I'm about to say Emmy after Emmy after Emmy. And when you just brought up that documentary, I don't know if there is one. There probably already is, but there needs to be another one that really goes into depth. Because again, when you think about RuPaul, it's not just the talent and the entertainment, but it's that thing that I think we both also love is it's the branding. It's the overall, like, my name means more than just representing me. Like, RuPaul means something greater than that. I mean, and it's birthed itself into even a vehicle to support
Yeah.
other drag queens, like RuPaul's Drag
Yeah.
Race.
And when I watch Drag Race too, like we all watch for the contestants. Of course, it's fun to discover someone's drag that you like, but I'm going to be honest, like I don't think enough of us realize how much we watch for RuPaul.
That's right, baby.
We watch for RuPaul. I love all of us. I love the contestants. But you really watch for Ru. I mean, that so beautiful when you look like that, but you make the audience feel warm and fuzzy.
Yes.
And to look that cunty, but not seem cunty is very amazing.
It's
I think
mother.
you do that well too.
Oh my gosh, that is a dream. I don't know who doesn't want to be able to give, like, I want to give you that perfect, beautiful, alchemized image and lean in and tell you some real shit. Because I think that's
Totally.
like the vibe. You know what I mean? And so I feel like Ru does that 100%. I mean, who does? It's just like when I think about that scene in, what was it, the Brady Bunch?
Oh my God.
Where she was just being mother down, like giving you what you need. That's what it has
Yeah.
to be.
And I guess that's a part of her I always try to like emulate too, is like dressing like a fake person, but really trying to still tell the truth in some ways is, I don't know, it's weird that you dress like a fake person and then really stick to the truth in some ways. I think that's kind of
because it's kind of needed. And what I mean by that is, again, we're in the matrix, right? Whether you're online or whether you're in the walking world, people have ideas based off of who they'll listen to, based off of how that person is perceived. And how that person is perceived is often based off how they look. And so it's like you don't want to think about it that way and you don't want it to come from a superficial way. But when you do think about the fact that how I show up is going to make people listen to me more and you have something to say, then once you lean in, can't nobody stop you. Because I showed up looking like a supermodel and now you feel like what I have to say is of value, and it actually is. So
it is. I mean, I also think like whether or not you agree with like, if you're going through a no makeup phase in your life, that's great. But what I like about drag is it's almost like it's the ultimate fake it till you make it. I think in drag, a lot of us dress like a tall, shapely, rich, young version of something.
Yeah.
We almost caricature like Americanized beauty standards.
For sure.
And we also accidentally really grab your attention because I do feel like if you see that little, like, if you see a nipped waist or you see a long leg or you see long glossy hair, you do go like, what did she say? I want to hear what she said. It's true.
It's absolutely true. Yeah, it is. I want to talk to you about something that I read when I was getting ready to talk to you about your relationship with your stepfather and how that's kind of how your name Trixie came about, that he would kind of use that name to criticize you, but then you've clearly made it your own. So I don't know. Just like, what was that like, growing up and how that word made you feel and how you found your way to like taking the power back?
Sure. So like my brain at this point is nothing but like a decoupage of RuPaul catchphrases. And like something RuPaul always says is that the universe gives you stage directions.
Ooh.
And I kind of do believe in that. I don't necessarily believe in everything's going to happen. Because to me, that incites a little bit of, I'm ready for someone to do something for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the universe does go like, what do you think? Don't you think you should And, when I was younger, my stepdad would call me a Trixie whenever I was acting too feminine or too,
Wow.
whatever. It's like a slur, like a kind of old school slur. And
Mm.
then when I was 18, 19, and I was doing drag for the first time in the Rocky Horror Picture Show at the Oriental Theater in Milwaukee, the character that I ended up getting was named Trixie. And so I felt like it was the universe
Give you a stage
hinting to
direction.
me, hinting to me. And so then, it's crazy because I really at this point forget that that was sort of the origin of the name because that name used to be such a huge problem for me.
Mm.
But now it's like that word is put clothes on my back and bought my mom a house. And, it's, I love it. It take back the night in a way. Also, RuPaul was taken, so I had to come up with something else.
What was your relationship like with your mom growing up? I mean, when you have somebody, I don't know if your mom is still married to your stepfather or not, but growing up, did she kind of create that space for you to feel okay to be yourself? Like, how did you get to the point of actually even doing something like the Rocky Horror Picture Show or leaning into who you are naturally when it was kind of so criticized early on?
Well, I come from a kind of a family of, in general, I had a lesbian aunt. Everybody, I mean, I know a lot of people have an experience of coming from a small town where they've, you know, felt like their whole family didn't accept them. But on the whole, my whole family my mom's such a hippie. Everybody was so cool with it.
Yeah.
Um, and my stepdad actually passed away of alcoholism when I was in high school. So
Mm.
I feel a lot of people probably have to carry that into their adulthood a lot more. But for me, I didn't have to worry about that relationship. Like, I didn't have to go home and see that person for Christmas, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Um, but also, the more I've opened up about that, which when I was young and I was stupid enough to just spout off my personal life more freely, I've noticed that over the years, people, again, the more you are vulnerable and my golden rule has always been like, the more I'm just honest and vulnerable, people really feel that, and
Yeah.
it's not ever really good to float fake shit. Like, just be honest, even in stand up or in music or anything I do. You just be honest, come from a place of what really has happened and what you really feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the only way to go.
Do you feel like everybody's equipped to do that? What I mean by that is like how you overcame that, I guess. You know what I mean? How does somebody get there?
I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm at the point I can't imagine my life without drag. I mean, this fake person that I got to use to explore parts of my trauma or my sexuality or my sense of humor, um, become confident through somebody else, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Masquerading as a funny, successful, confident person was my way of figuring out a way how to be a confident person.
Ah,
And I don't know how you would do that if you didn't have drag. You have to probably do it the hard way. Feel like I took the easy way because drag just was my little rocket to that,
and I feel like also, like, I love what you're saying because I relate to that in terms of entertainment because regardless of the medium, anytime you have a personal relationship with something that also allows you to access yourself, like it makes you constantly have to look at yourself in the mirror, literally or figuratively, it allows you to face things that you didn't know you needed to face. So it's really cool to just hear about that journey with you with drag and how it allowed you to kind of take on some of those more heavier details of how you felt during those times, or just even the vehicle of drag alone being a place to really have ownership over this aspect of yourself that was once so judged, if not by, clearly not by your whole family, but even just by this person that made you feel outside, that entering that door through drag, it allowed you to accept it all. Like, I feel very similarly about entertainment, just, my fears, my uncomfortableness with life and just my experience as a person. I've always been very, very emotional, feeling things in my family. And sometimes they weren't emotionally available. So for me, entertaining, making people present through my performances, it really has healed and helped me to understand people more because sometimes my character doesn't have the space. And then that makes me think about, oh, maybe that's what my parents were going through. Or, oh, wait a minute, is this what I was dealing with? Oh, trauma. Like, the arts has always been a window into that for me, too.
I mean, I'm sure when you play someone else, which, with drag, it kind of just play someone else, you, I don't know, I feel a lot more like, almost like, especially with drag, it's almost like it's not me. And so let's just fling it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then I guess I don't know how I would have been that vulnerable without drag. That was just kind of how I did it. But I think that's probably how a lot of people do it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, their drag is their thing, however they do that. I guess also I've always found that being honest with people where I'm from, like when I turned 18 and moved to the city, Keke, I knew I needed to like be shaken. I knew I like had this much of a scope of the world, and I knew pretty much one economic bracket of people. I knew one type of person. I knew one accent even. I knew, I didn't have any friends that didn't look like me and work from my same world. When you're from a small county in a small town, your whole world is in like a couple dozen miles, your whole world.
Mm-hmm.
And Rocky and like joining an environment where it really wasn't about being gay. I mean, Rocky Horror wasn't like a gay environment. It was like goths and horror movie people and
Mm-hmm.
weirdos and freaks like putting on fake blood and glitter and running around screaming. It was just an environment for me to really flirt with like being myself without really being vulnerable, because when you have a wig on and a bunch of like makeup and it's not you. So there's no accountability. You get to be like, oh, it's just for fun. It's just a character. But there's some parts of that you are letting out and like debuting to yourself even.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like every character that I've played has introduced me to a side of myself that I didn't realize that I had. And yes, the
Totally.
freedom of the character gave me the opportunity to explore it every single time. And I did wholeheartedly. And some of the shit I kept, and some of it I said, well, now this shit need to be put to rest. But either
Right.
way, it was a journey of self-exploration.
Do you always know, like, I mean, I'm not like a real actor like you are. Do you always know how much something's gonna stick to you when you do something like that? Do you always know how much you're gonna do it and then feel it later, or like?
No. And it could be really bad too.
Yeah,
So
I've
yeah,
heard that. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is, because what you're doing, but it's not like your emotions know that these are fake emotions. Like they're always real. Any emotion that you do, anything, any tear you drop, any anger that you have, your blood pressure really did get high. Like everything really did happen. And so, it can be, I mean, a lot of times, there can be PTSD. I remember I did this one character in this movie called Alice. It was about a young woman in the 70s who discovers that she's been living on a plantation that slavery has been abolished. Like, so basically the slave master kept them there and made them believe that slavery had not been abolished. It's like a generational thing of holding her and her family there. So she ends up
Right.
wandering off the plantation. She realizes she's in the 70s, and it's about her discovery of what it means to have freedom. And obviously it was an exciting, movie. I thought it was empowering. It was kind of had like a black exploitation flair. Like, so there was so many different elements that I hadn't seen in this space before, but it was still a very heavy emotional theme. And after the movie, I really was going through it, like in my house, living my life, crying and saying, oh my gosh, like my freedom is the freedom they didn't have. I didn't know that fucked with me like that. Like I didn't know that epigenetically or just emotionally that is trauma that is carried down and down and down. And when I actually approached that film, it gave me the opportunity to start digging into what that means. And so then I started looking at all of these things that I never looked at before the same way Alice did. And it's like it's just like, it's crazy how that happens. And I remember just being in my room being like, I'm about to be happy for Alice. And it's like, she's not real, but she is.
But she is. She is.
It's so crazy. It's so
That
crazy. So
is so-
I love it because of that, but it is scary. And I have always had therapy. I think it's important. I think it's important in life, but I've always said this, especially for child entertainers, people that have been performing very young, you need therapy. It's too much going on. It's too much you dealing with, that you do need to get it out and work through some of that stuff, because when you realize how fragile identity is, what do I mean by that? I could change who I am at the drop of a hat. If I decided tomorrow that I wanted to all of a sudden be really, really serious and reserved and just committed to it, then I could be that. So it's like when you realize that by doing all these characters and being someone new for a month or a week, it's easy to lose yourself. Because who is yourself if being somebody else is that easy? And so, yeah.
I mean, for real, like some days I feel like I'm totally different in drag, and my close friends will be like, "Oh, it's a totally different person. You walk different, you talk different. You're like, you smell different." And then some days I'm like, well, the parts of the character that people connect to are the parts that are real. Your real sense of humor, your real experience of talking about what you did that day, and your real, whatever. And so as much as you think the thing you're putting on is about the fake part of it, people only connect with the real part of it. Really.
1000%. And it's really just you in all these different fonts. Like, I always just think about
Yes.
myself. Like, when I think about Keke Palmer or the work that I do as Keke Palmer, I think about like Keke Palmer, the host, Keke Palmer, the movie girl, Keke Palmer, the singer, Keke Palmer, the author. Like, to me, it's like they all express a different side of me, but at the core, it's all me. I'm crafting it. You know what I mean? I think it's like interesting when you view yourself from that way. It feels, to me, really empowering, and it allows you to kind of not be afraid to go all these other places because you are always there.
You're always there. And because you're driving, it's really hard to like see yourself driving the car because you're in the driver's seat, like, and I'm so stealing that. Like, it's just you in different fonts. It really is. Because if it wasn't, people would turn you on and go like, this bitch is bullshitting me.
Yeah, like she's turned into a fake bitch. Like, who is doo-doo or whatever the hell you would call yourself.
Right. Right. Who is doo-doo? That's the question.
Trixie, you are amazing. I live for a Virgo to Virgo. Like, it just gives what it needs to give. But before I let you go, I'd like to play a game with you. It's called, this one has a little sweetness to it. I always play a game with my guests. And this one, I'm going to ask you romantic themed questions, and you just hit me with the answers. So that's it.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. Your makeup is perfection, but what's the biggest red flag when it comes to dating? Like, what's the romantic equivalent of smudged eyeliner? Ooh.
Oh, that's a woo. Ooh. I have a lot of empathy for it, but I don't. People's internalized homophobia. They ironically, you pretending you're like not like other gays or whatever. It's like you're wearing a big fucking red hat. You look so foolish. Like, again, therapy, accept it. Because you have to be able to just like.
It's giving
love
I'm not
yourself.
like the other girls.
Yes, it's giving like I'm not like other girls. It's like, but you are, and so. The only one concerned with your gayness really is you, because everyone else is pretty cool with it. Is like, you're being weird.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of empathy for that process.
For
so,
sure.
We'll meet you when you get there. But guys like that, it's always like, all right, this was a lovely first date.
And last date.
And last, yes.
Okay, you've got this larger-than-life drag persona, but what's the most basic thing about you when it comes to relationships? Like, are you a candlelit dinner type or Netflix and snacks sweatpants type?
Oh, I just love touching. I love cuddling, holding hands. When people are like, oh, I could never get down with someone who's like, oh, we go to bed and we don't touch.
That's fucking nuts to me. If you don't touch me, I'm burning the house down.
Girl, I want to sleep in the chokehold. Give me like the, like
100 degrees is fine.
Totally fine. Totally fine. I'm like, to me, even if we had a fight, even if it's hot in the room, you better at least give me like 2 pinky toes. Like, I need
now the
something.
feet, even if it's like, okay, upper body is too much, gotcha. Them legs better touch.
The legs better touch. And I just say, if you're somebody who doesn't want to touch, that's fine. You will find someone else who doesn't, and you'll have a beautiful no touching relationship.
Okay.
That's not me.
Biggest turnoff in the bedroom. Mine is too much. What is mine?
Let's
Too
go.
serious, boo. I don't want it to be serious. I'm that person that's like, I want to laugh in between. Like, I cannot do the, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like too like, I don't know what that is.
That is scary. What is that?
Oh, yeah, girl, you know what else? Like, when someone puts on like to me, people's idea of sex music is so corny boots. I'm like, what is it? It's either like, I don't want like Pony Genuine. I also don't want I also don't want like aggressive house music.
Oh my gosh, I feel you on entirely. I think what we're both talking about is a combination of just like sex persona, like cliche sex personas.
Yeah.
Like whether it's the super ultra sexy, like, yeah, you like what I'm doing. Or if it's like, like, oh yeah, ride with me. Like, I don't want any of the cliches that you done seen in some teen flick.
That's the thing
Like,
too. Like,
please,
don't
boo.
do what you saw in a movie. Don't do what you saw in porn. Just
And
do
that's
this
what
with
it
me.
really is. The porn have taken over the minds. Nobody even knows what real sex is anymore. We need to turn back on HBO's Real Sex to find out.
Girl, somebody
Child.
when you're in bed and someone's like, "Oh, do you like that?" It's like, "Yeah, that's why we're here." Like, what do you mean? Do I like? No, I hate it. I also, the state of the bedroom. I'm not saying it has to be a model home, but I've been with enough straight guys to know sometimes, the white
Now
walls.
that's T-Boo, okay?
with,
Clock
like,
it.
I want to see the sheet on the bed. I want to see, I don't want that cracked in vibe. I want
Literally. And it needs to look clean and pressed because who was here before me? Get this
Thank
shit
you.
ready.
Girl, wash the sheets.
Okay, are you Barbie looking for your Ken or are you fine just living your Malibu dream solo?
Oh, I'm always in love and looking for love and
I know
wanting
that's
love.
right. I always got a
I
man.
I love to
Period.
connect. I have so many friends who are loners. I think a lot of my close friends are kind of loners, and that's fine. But for me, it's hard for me to not, go on a date, feel the feeling, and I want to know what happens next. I want
Ah.
that second, third date. If I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it. I don't understand, like, he's really nice. We really like each other, but it's just not right now.
You know, we
I'm
have
always
this rap too, by the way, Trixie. We have this rap Virgos do of just like always being like in love and like, building out a storyline. We love
Yeah.
to build out a storyline, honey. Yes, I live
Yes.
for a movie of my life.
Yes, I'm always like looking for, I've had all great boyfriends in my life, and it's always been because I'm open to it. I'm open to
Okay.
what's coming. So,
I know that's right, girl. Okay, let me wrap this up. Last one. If Trixie had a Tinder bio, what would it say?
oh my gosh. Drake said a Tinder bio. Oh, Tinder.
Oh.
Well, I've been on Tinder. I think Tinder's fun. I think it used to be more datey, and I think it's more hookupy now.
It's so
but I think,
hookupy now.
but I think it used to be more datey. And I can tell you, my Tinder bio used to be, oh, I love comedy and I love to collect guitars, which was true and very boring. So I wouldn't recommend
So
that.
Virgo of you.
I know,
We
but
love to play like so boring. We're not playing, but we love to be like, oh, I'm so grounded. But then when you get into our world, it's nothing but chaos.
girl, that's the thing. Like, I'm such a bait and switch because I'm like, I like to have my life together, but you might see me crying today. I don't know, but I also think when someone's bio is like press to start or some shit, I'm like, no, too cheeky,
It's too much.
slutty.
Yeah. Mine was always super grounded too. Like I was on Hinge for a second. It was like, hey, my name is Lauren. I'm just here to meet people and hopefully find a connection. Hope you had a good day. Like,
Girl, that's a little too. That's a little too like, I don't know what that is.
it's
Eat,
so
pray,
like
love.
I'm a nice person. Yes. It's so like,
Oh,
I'm nice.
yeah, that's a little like, are you interested in unique men with a warm heart and a fun point of view? Click here. Like, what are you selling, girl? That's wild.
And that's why nobody clicked my shit.
And then when they did, they were the killer. Wendy Williams says the killer because they were like, well, she seems like, I don't know, a little naive. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Exactly.
Girl, we got to get together and we got to work out the bios.
We
I do
do.
think sometimes it's good to let a friend write it. Maybe that's helpful.
That's what people always say. And I mean, it's funny because when I'm the friend writing it, I'm killing this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when it's me, I end up being just too like literal, laid back, and like, girl, when the shit really should be like, Virgo bitch, holla at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should have been just more like, hey.
Right. I think if I could write my friends, I think I would go too hard. I'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, I would make them seem like the main event.
Come
and then
on,
mine is like,
WWE.
hello, would you like to hang out? Girl, I don't know. But also, you don't want to oversell yourself because then it's like, look how great I am.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, look how great I am, but I want you to see that in the pictures. I don't want to have to tell you. I want it to just be obvious. You know?
Absolutely. Well, do you link your socials? Because I think when people link their social media, but it's private, I think that's straight to jail.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Here's my Instagram. You click it and it's private. What?
It's like, did you come here to look for love or followers? Because I'm
Yeah, it's
not
like,
following your ass.
you take your pants off and there's another set of pants under there. Like, what are we doing?
The worst one is Raya, hands down.
That's what I've heard. Because
Oh,
I heard that
sweetie.
it's not location based.
And it's very like, at this point, motherfuckers going on Raya to get a job. Like, it's like networky. Like, it's seriously like clicky, networky. Like, people are not really going to find love. And that's my whole thing is like, why is you on here? That's why I think that Match.com had it right. $400, please. Like, if you're charging people, then they're maybe going to be more serious. Like, it should get to a point where if somebody really wants to be on a love website, they should be paying a real big fee. Because now everything is just so fake. Like, and people really do want love and connection. It's so sad.
Do you get? I had been banned from Grindr before they thought I was a catfish. That's happened to me a few times. Do people think you're fake on the internet?
So the one time that I was on, when I was on Raya, they confirmed it's you. So that, you know what I mean? But when I did Hinge, I felt like that's why people didn't click my page. Because I felt like they were like, oh, she's a catfish. I didn't get banned, but I felt like I really didn't get many hit-ups.
I used to say to people, they'd be like, obviously a catfish. And I'd be like, why would somebody pretend to be a 35-year-old bald crossdresser? And they're like, fair, how are you? You know, so sometimes like, you know, well, I love you so much. This is such a blessing.
This is amazing. You're really inspirational on all accounts. And I need me a little Keke motel. So, you know, I'm going to holler at you for the business.
And can I tell you, I don't want to be corny. Congratulations on having like the #1 film for probably the millionth time in your life.
Oh my gosh,
congratulations.
no. This is like a really magical moment with one of them days because it's an original IP. It's a comedy. You know, I got to do it with SZA and Issa. So it's like, I really appreciate that and receive that. It's a special one for sure.
It's just like, sit down and stare into the sky and just like, enjoy it. This is yours. You did this.
Thank you, Trixie. I'm sending you all the love in the world.
Well, I'm sure I'll see you around again. Let's make it a habit, okay?
I think so.
Okay.
Bye.
Aww.
I'm not going to hold you. Talking to Trixie was a moment. I lived for every second of it. And I mean, if there's one thing I'm going to walk away with, I think it's that we've all faced criticism, right? But it's what you do with it that matters. I mean, Trixie took something that was meant to tear her down and turned it, amongst other things, into the foundation of her empire. That self-love is on a whole nother level. And on that note, y'all keep shining, keep loving on yourselves, keep turning those critiques into crowns. And I'll see you next time because you know it's your girl.
Baby, this is Keke